Have you ever wondered why some people view God as hateful and angry rather than compassionate and loving? The Bible, however, and history attest to the fact that God is unwavering and faithful in all things to those who seek Him. We're going to look at those things today on Soul 02. And welcome to Soul 02. This is the podcast that is putting the oxygen back into the Christian life one soul at a time. And so glad to be with you. And there's always been through history an image of God as this angry person who is just kind of hurling lightning bolts at people, and when they tick him off, so to speak. And it has been documented in popular books by atheists, especially, like Richard Dawkins, who said, and I quoted this last time, but the God of the Old Testament is arguably the most unpleasant character in all fiction. Jealous and proud of it, a petty, unjust, unforgiving control freak, a vindictive, bloodthirsty ethnic cleanser, a misogynistic, homophobic, racist, infanticidal, genocidal, filicidal, pestilential, well, I don't know what that is, megalomaniacal, sadomasochistic, impulsively spiteful bully. So, wow, this guy had real issues with God. But I submit to you today that in one word, I'm going to give you one word again. And we've been talking about this one word that disarms this mindset, because God never fails. And what if I told you that God's love, God's loyalty, God's grace, God's mercy, God's kindness, God's faithfulness could be summed up in one word, and that is chesed. And we've been saying this. So today, this is what I titled it today: Why God's Faithfulness Never Fails. And that word we're talking about is chesed. And the definition is simply this: when the person from whom I have a right to expect nothing gives me everything. That's what chesed means. And when you pronounce chesed, the emphasis is on the che, and it has to be guttural. This is what my rabbi friends taught me. But think about this incredible definition of chesed, that in one word, God disarms all of these notions. Because when you read the scriptures, when you look at history, His faithfulness, it is embarrassingly astounding. And understanding chesed dismantles that nagging image of this angry God who doesn't love people. And today I just want to quickly give you some qualities of chesed. And these qualities are really interesting because they speak of the kind of like the range of this word chesed. So here's some qualities of chesed I'm going to give you today. And let me just show it to you in a different way. But the first quality is it is unique. You'll find that this idea of chesed, the idea that you have this God you serve, that when the person from whom I have a right to expect nothing gives me everything, no other religion has that. No other religion has this quality of this merciful, loyal, loving God that gives you something you don't deserve. In fact, other religions, you always have to work for it or sacrifice for it or maybe die and live another life as a reincarnated being or something. But there's all these other things. In fact, the Greek gods were easily offended, right? And they would hurl lightning bolts or punish people. And they had to be appeased through sacrifices. And I think of Molech worship in the Old Testament. There were drum beats that were designed to be loud enough to mask the screams of the children being sacrificed. I mean, how messed up is that for a religion? So no other idol or religion has songs written about the loving kindness of their God. No other religion. It is unique to God, the creator of the universe. But also there's this quality. It is undeserved, which the definition says it. So no amount of obedience can earn God's chesed or His loving. The common term for chesed is, in general, could be maybe loyal love or faithfulness. But when an endowment or a grant is given, let's say for an agency, usually the recipient has to jump through all these hoops to receive that endowment. But when you know that you don't deserve it, and the Lord is still willing to give it anyway, you're in the best position to receive his chesed. And so think about it. This is the best mindset for prayer. It's choosing to believe in God's inherent goodness, that even if I'm not good, even if I'm messed up, God is still good and faithful if I look to him and entrust my heart to him. And so maybe our prayer might look something like this: Lord, I know that I don't deserve an answer. I don't deserve a blessing or a breakthrough, but I believe that you're going to give it to me because of your chesed. It's not because I'm worthy, but because of who you are, Lord. But another quality of chesed is this: it is unlimited. And the chesed of the Lord cannot be exhausted no matter what we do. Thank God. Nothing you can do or experience or encounter can empty the reservoir of the Lord's chesed, his loyal love. And Paul prayed that the Ephesians would have the capacity to comprehend this when Paul said this. He says, and I pray that you, being rooted and established in love, may have power together with all the saints to grasp how wide and long and how high and deep is the love of Christ, and to know his love that surpasses knowledge, that you may be filled to the measure of the fullness of God. That's his chesed. And I want you to think about it in this way, that we can either define ourselves by God's law, right? There were two encounters at Sinai. The first was when God gave the law, or the second encounter by his chesed, and that's when he revealed himself to Moses as in fatherly parental terms as the God of loving kindness. So how do you want to be defined by God? By fear or by love? But another quality of chesed is this: it is not only unlimited, but it's the turning point, or put it this way, the turning point. Chesed marks a shift in circumstances. Turning point means that if you don't receive it, you're going to be in big trouble. That you realize if you don't get God's mercy in your life, if you don't receive what he wants to give you, you're in big trouble. Psalm 135. Let me give you some scriptures here that I have. I'll just read them off real quick. Psalm 13:5. But I trusted in your steadfast love, or chesed. My heart shall rejoice in your salvation. Psalm 69:13. But as for me, my prayer is to you, O Lord, at an acceptable time, and the Lord, the Lord, in the abundance of your steadfast love, chesed, right? I put it in parentheses. Answer me with your faithful help. Lamentations 3:21. It says, but this I call to mind, and therefore I have hope. The steadfast love, chesed, of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. What a beautiful, beautiful way to think about it. So chesed is the last word when you are out of words to pray, says Michael Card, the theologian, not the singer. When you don't know what else to say to the Lord, and when you can't even define what you're feeling, there is this one word, chesed. And what a beautiful way to think about it. But here's another quality of chesed that I want to give you today. And again, these are all beautiful and encouraging to me. I hope they're encouraging to you as well. There are consequences for not showing it. And again, this is not a negative encouragement, but in the Psalms, you find these weird Psalms where the psalmist, in this case, David is praying this psalm in Psalm 109, and he says, may his days be few, may another take his job, may his children be fatherless and his wife a widow. And then he goes on and on about like pronouncing a curse on these evil people that are, and he says, may his descendants be cut off, may his ancestors' sins be remembered. He goes on, and then he says this, he says, for he never bothered to show kindness, or the word here is chesed. He harassed and oppressed the needy and killed the disheartened. So this is an example of chesed in a negative sense, that there is judgment for not showing it. When instead we show oppression or unkindness, there is judgment on us. There's punishment on us by God when we fail to show it. And that's why be very careful how you treat the poor. Never make fun of the poor. Never make fun of the weak. Very careful, because there's ever some proverbs that says, don't mess with them, basically, because he who watches over them is strong. But failure to show chesed is a very powerful thing. But here's another quality of chesed, and that is that it's part of the law of sowing and reaping. And this connects to my last point here. But in the scriptures, you have Rahab, right? She expects to receive chesed from Joshua and the spies when they take Jericho, and show her chesed, or mercy, by not killing her, even though they're going to kill everybody else. The spies scouting out the city of Bethel promise chesed to a man of the town if he shows them the way in. The Israelites fail to show chesed to Gideon, though he has been kind to them. And Saul does not destroy the Kenites because they showed chesed to the Israelites when they came to Egypt. And these are examples given by Dr. Card again, because his book is so good. But David sends word to his men in Jabesh Gilead that because they did show chesed by burying the body of Saul, that he just blessed them. And on it goes. But even Jesus showed this idea in the New Testament, and it's under the word grace or mercy. The teachings of Jesus, especially in Matthew's gospel, are full of these ideas of showing chesed to people, right? Blessed are the merciful, right? For they shall obtain mercy. If we forgive others their offenses, right? If you show chesed to others, your Father will forgive you. He says, shouldn't you also have had mercy on your fellow servant as I have had mercy on you, right? That's Matthew 18, the famous scripture. And I don't have time to show you all these, but here's one last one before we close it. But a quality of chesed, and that is this: it will show you your face. It will show rather on your face. What do I mean by that? There's a revelation that brings something to your heart that ends up showing up on your face. There'll be joy, but there'll also be the glory of God on your face. The joy of God and the glory of God on your face will show, and people will notice a difference in your face. Moses wore it on his face. And in Exodus 34:29, it says that when Moses came down from Mount Sinai with the 2 tablets of the testimony in his hands, he was not aware that his face was radiant because he had spoken with the Lord. He had been with God, and his face shone. And Rabbi Jonathan Sachs once noted that when Moses descended from the mountain the first time, right, when the law was given, and they had thundering and lightnings, people were afraid, and there was earthquakes, and they were horrified, that his face didn't shine after that. But it was when he was seen, when he saw God, when God caused his goodness to pass before him, his chesed to pass before him. After that, his face shone. And there's something beautiful about that when you experience the love and the mercy of God in heaven, when you experience his grace and his power in your life, and something you don't deserve, it's a beautiful thing, isn't it? So if you like this podcast, please leave a like and check us out. We are on YouTube, Buzzsprout, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Facebook, and others. And please recommend it to somebody, because we're trying to grow this. So till next time, I'm so glad to be with you. God bless you.